On this episode of Beyond the Forecast, we're going to learn about the atmosphere, the lower parts, and the thunderstorms that can form inside of it, especially if there's a chance for strong to severe storms. Where's the base of the cloud? Is the storm rotating? Could there be rotation? Is there a hail core? What's the top of the cloud going to be at? What's that updraft going to be? How low could that be? How strong could it be? A lot of questions we're trying to answer when we predict and look at the atmosphere ahead of a chance for strong storms. We can use SKUTs and weather balloon launches to give us an idea on where these storms might be. But we can also use other tools to forecast. This is Aello, a unique way to look at the atmosphere. Look, all these individual air parcels rising into the sky. I got a chance to talk to the developer and the idea about how to create a cool forecasting site like this, Aello. Let's learn more in that conversation. All right, joining me right now, I'm very excited to have a guest and longtime friend, Chris Axelson, the developer of Aello, and you've been working on this for a very long time, so tell me all about it.
Yeah, this has been a huge passion project of mine. Well, first of all, thanks, Jeff. It's really good to see you again and to be
Yeah,
on here. I really appreciate you letting me take the time. But yeah, this has been a really big passion project of mine. I've been into weather for as long as I can remember, dating way back to being a small kid, driving around with my mom, checking out storms until they got too scary and ran back home. And it wasn't until I was working with you at a news station in Duluth that it really I started to learn the deeper like pieces of what makes weather and starting to
hmm
get more interested into the science of it and some of the more professional tools to be able to use. That being said, as someone who's not a degreed meteorologist or a PhD in anything, looking at hodographs, soundings, SKU charts, like looking at any of those, it's like, wow, this is a little mind blowing, a little overwhelming. But the information inside of them is so important to see what the atmosphere is doing above you. And
yes.
this is something that it was a problem of mine. Like I can read a sounding, but to really truly understand it, you got to get a little abstract in your mind about what it's doing. And I'm still trying to focus on what the numbers mean. So
Yeah,
after months of, oh, yeah.
and what you've been doing with this is you have a new and unique way to visualize the atmosphere, which is probably really helpful to the average viewer or the average person because when if I were to show a SKU right now, for those that understand how to read it, sure, you could figure it out, within a few seconds, you kind of know what you're looking at. But if
Yeah.
you've never seen a chart like that before, it's just like looking at a chart for any other industry. It's like, I've never seen this before. But
Yeah,
this shows the atmosphere in a way that makes a little bit more sense. And it really shows what that parcel of air, that rising air might do as it ascends in the atmosphere and maybe giving us an ingredients for strong to severe weather.
absolutely. It's something that it abstracts a sounding by a little bit, but the information that you can gain from seeing the visualization on the app is the same. You're still getting the same information. And if you're more of a data type individual, all that data is there still available for you to check out and to see the actual numbers yourself. But that's correct. Like this is just a visualization of what the atmosphere is doing above you, how the winds are moving, the moisture in the air, the temperature. I mean, the cape is probably like the most exciting part about this because it's
Yeah.
visualized in like a glow on the app. So, yeah,
And for those that
it's
don't
just
remember, CAPE is convective available potential energy.
storm juice as I've heard it
Yes.
called. Yeah.
So, I
So,
mean, let's see what the app looks like. Let's show it to everyone.
yeah. Yeah, let me start. I can show how it looks uh on like a calm day. Um,
Okay.
So this is today where I'm at. I'm in Minnesota, and it really is about as good as it gets. But when you get into this app, it'll kind of give you a little synopsis that's just plain language. There's no AI that's generating anything in here. It's all just data based. There's no connections to any LLMs or anything, but it's just telling you, like, hey, this is what the weather's doing, and this background color will change as things get more violent or as it gets more dangerous
hmm
just kind of letting you know what's going on. The text will change. But as we get deeper into it, we can see some of the interesting weather around the country. So it'll pull from SPC on which cities may be in some sort of convective outlook.
Yep.
Like what if there's any warnings going on that'll come up here. Historic skies is a really interesting thing to take a look at. It shows what this app would have looked like during like the Joplin EF5, the Tuscaloosa EF4, and it really allows you to see the visualization of an atmosphere at its absolute most potent. But today, here in a suburb of Minneapolis, we can see that the sky is relatively calm. To take a look at this right here, this visual right here is our atmosphere going from the surface all the way up to about 40,000 feet.
Hmm.
And though, one single parcel of air probably won't go from my doorstep to directly above me, there will be some change in its direction over time. This just kind of shows you what's going on. Like we can see that towards the surface, it's moving a little bit slower than it is in the upper levels, and that's
Yes.
shown here. We have 26 knots. Here I can show this too. We have a simple and a data version. So the simple version
Okay.
brings it to feet, data brings it to millibars, but
For those that
um,
want to change the units to what you're more comfortable with,
yeah,
that's where you can change it right there. So we can see the kind of visuals of the atmosphere and we can see the different layers. So we're looking at the left side of the screen where we have the 850 millibar, the 700 millibar, and that's usually where the cloud base or the heart of the cloud or the thunderstorm will be. That's where there's a lot of that moisture. When we get to the higher levels of the atmosphere, 500 millibars and up, uh, things can still be important what's happening in those areas. Certainly, I'm not going to discount that, but that's another part of the thunderstorm and the cumulonimbus cloud all together. And you can really see how that air accelerates. So in this example that we have here, we can see that there's a fairly weak cap that's set up in the atmosphere that day. So it looks like those air parcels and the chances for developing thunderstorms is pretty decent.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the but you can also gauge it too on the top left with that storm fuel that shows it's not bad, it's decent. You can get some thunderstorms, but may not be the ones that it's going to be a big outbreak type of day.
Exactly. And it sort of matches the SPC's outlook as well. I think in Minneapolis right now, like we're not in any sort of outlook, but there are
Mhm.
some ingredients. There's just nothing that's going to really necessarily initiate it tonight. But what's interesting about this is when you're in the app version, when it's, vertical, a little bit smaller, you can get in here and you can turn on what you want to look at, what you don't want to look at. So if you are like a scientific mind and you really want to check out the data, you can dig into that data. I mean, we have it. We have surface-based CAPE, which would be nice to also add the other levels of CAPE as well. We have the shear. Oops, sorry. We have shear, moisture, the actual value of the hodograph curvature, and then digging deeper into it, right? Like the cloud base, where that cap might end at the top, and then how high theoretically a storm could actually get until it stops moving, until that parcel stops moving.
Mhm.
And then the storm threats. I think this is pretty important. In a lot of the apps that we have that we're using for weather, it might say we're in a watch, it might say we're in a warning, but that's it. Until we're in a watch or a warning, we're not going to know if that threat is really there. But with this type of program, we can see like, hey, our significant tornado parameter is 6. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably be in a watch by then, but that can be scary. And we can tell what type of hazard it is. Is it marginal severe, severe? Is it tornado? Is it PDS tornado? Particularly dangerous situation. We
Mhm.
don't want that. So it's good to be able to see that all here. All at once, because a lot of this information is what you can get when you go to these other professional weather apps or web pages like Pivotal, or you're checking out the different forecast models. A lot of that is just so foreign to people like me, who are not degreed meteorologists, but have a huge passion for weather, for what's going on above us, who want to go take photos of the weather. This could be used for you to just go click a location or type a location in and say, is this going to be worth it? Is this going to be worth the drive? Or even just trying to
Right.
understand what the atmosphere is doing above you. It's super interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. So you see this as kind of a stepping stone for a person that may have taken a severe storms and spotting class with their local National Weather Service office, and not quite a degree meteorologist, but kind of a stepping stone to get them to that point. Hey, I want to learn a little bit more about how these storms and how the atmosphere looks on days when there are risks for severe weather.
Absolutely. I mean, the data available for weather is so it's there's a lot of it and it's free and the government produces it every single day.
Yes.
And unless you know how to read those numbers, it's not going to do much for you. But if you're interested in it and you're curious about what's going on, but you don't want to take the time to maybe necessarily get as deep into all of these numbers and their meanings and where they come from, this allows you to at least abstract some of those numbers so that maybe when you do find that you want to learn more about these numbers and read soundings and just look at it and understand it as it's produced, this may be a tool that gets you there a little bit quicker.
Wow. And this is just one example that we're looking at. So we're looking at
Yep.
areas in Minnesota, but we could look at this for any spot across the country. Is that correct?
We can, yeah. So there's a little in interesting weather on the country. You can go to see all, and there's a map that's produced that has the convective outlook for just the day one outlook overlaid against the United States. Today doesn't look too crazy, but I was looking at Dodge City, Kansas earlier today. So you can just click, you can zoom in, these will start to pop up. You can click anywhere. Um, and here we go. So they're in a marginal risk, which isn't crazy, but the energy in the atmosphere is saying, hey, this is a little bit higher than what we normally see around here. So we're going to show a yellow or an orange or whatever it may be, depending on the level that the threat may be. And if we go to the column here, we can see a little bit more activity. This glow is the moisture that's available in the air. The
Okay.
shimmer that's going up this column is the cape. It's a visualization of the cape. It's the actual energy. So the more you see the shimmer, the more the ribbons are moving.
Hmm.
That means there's more cape available. Those little particles are, the air parcels that show you speed of the wind that's as you go up. Um, but this actually allows us to move forward in the forecast a little bit. So if we were to go from, let's see, this is 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight, 10 p.m. Mountain Daylight, we can
Hmm.
see here that now we're getting a lot of rotation in
Yes.
this model, which is really interesting. You can kind of spin it around here and take a look at it. This yellow fog in here is the cap. So we're able to visualize the cap between the cloud base and the lid and how strong that cap is based on uh, this value right here, how far away we are from breaking that cap. And if it's the higher, I guess lower than that number is, the thicker this fog will be. So you can again like visualize just how thick that cap is, how strong that cap is, without just reading the numbers. You can just look at it, visualize it, and see it. You see cloud base, lid, and then theoretical storm top, which we see sitting here at 39,500. But now we see that our threat is tornadoes. So this is 10 p.m. Mountain Daylight. We go into the data and we can see, yep, possible hazard tornado. The STP is 1.9. It's starting to crank up a little bit, so that's going to trigger the background of the today. It's going to trigger some of these colors that pop up over here that let you know this is something maybe a little bit more serious than if it was just like a white text. We're attaching severity levels to these numbers. So everything is just it's visual for the user to just take a glance and say, oh, okay, this could get interesting. But with this cat being pretty strong, I don't know what's going to actually happen. And
Yeah,
then you
and that's
can,
one thing that people have to remember too. When we have chances for severe storms, we certainly look at the current conditions. We look at our weather balloon launches from the morning before, or if there's special ones that are launched throughout the day. But also, these forecast models do show how the shear, the directional shear, the speed shear can change in the atmosphere, and you can visualize that on here. It looks like it's pretty cool, and it's easy to understand, and it just gives us a better idea. So we're spinning it around right now. So now we're looking more
yep.
north and northeasterly direction. And you can see how that rotation might be available inside of the base of a thunderstorm if there were one to develop in that area. you kind of told me, how this was an inspiration for you, but for those that want to access this, how can they access this? We're looking at a desktop right now, but
Yep.
earlier before we started recording, you squeeze it down because this is
Yep.
something that you're going to want to use in your phone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a URL based web app for now. It's at Aello.live. So you can access it that way. Um, I'm currently working on getting this thing onto both Android and Apple devices within their app stores. So that's a big long process, but I wanted to be able to get this out so we can use it still within storm season, because it may take a little bit longer to get out. But yeah, there's definitely an app coming out, and I've been having so much fun with this. I put it up on Reddit just as a early prototype of this to say like, hey, I'm making this thing. The soundings coming out of such city. I don't remember which one it was I was looking at, but they were looking really, really wild. It was like a high risk day, and I was checking out the soundings for it, and people on Reddit just loved it. And it was on the storm chasing subreddit community, which, can be rather volatile for folks who aren't
That's
professional storm
intimidating.
chasers. Yeah, it's intimidating.
I wouldn't even post on that
I
channel.
know it was scary. I mean, there's a lot of folks that were like, "This is wonderful. I hope you build this out." This is someone's even said this is the first time I've actually understood a hodograph, and I thought that was pretty neat.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, there's the naysayers, but that's all right. There's always going to be naysayers. Like I'm not trying to replace anything. I'm just trying to enhance somebody's curiosity and learning of the weather in a way that might spur them to say, I want to know more about this. I want to know more about what is going on above me. And maybe I want to go to school for it. Maybe I want to become a degreed meteorologist or a PhD who's actually working at, a storm lab. Like, that'd be amazing. So I'm just hoping that this can inspire some folks to understand the atmosphere and what's going on above them.
Well, in all fairness, too, I understand where some of the naysayers come from because they sat in that classroom. They had to do a SQT and do it for a final exam.
Yeah.
And the professor wrote on the top of their page, see me in red pen. So they had a bad experience. So that didn't happen to me, but I'm just saying that's maybe where some of that is coming from. So I get it,
Yeah.
and the SQT, this is not replacing it. This is not saying this is better than that. This is another tool in the toolbox to understand the atmosphere.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, and it's been fun getting to know some folks. I had some people reach out through Reddit that we just started talking in messages back and forth about this, and someone was talking about an application use for aviation, which I agree with because that was where I started my career, was aviation. Um, I think there's a ton of ways to use this and to expand on this, and I'm having a lot of fun just learning more about it and trying to find new ways to bring this super complicated information into the realm of everyday folk who just have a general curiosity about the sky.
Yeah, so you're not trying to replace a day-to-day forecasting app for, what's the high temperature going to be. You're looking at what's the storms looking like, what's the risk for that, and how to break that down.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
this app also even has some of that too. I mean, this is another just sort of visualization of the weather outside of your house. Maybe not like the column of air above it, but this has all of the things that you'd probably see in a regular weather app, temp, dew point, heat index, rain chance, clouds, whatever it may be, wind. But now this just visualizes it into one like polar chart. So as I've gotten deeper and deeper into using this app, I'm starting to recognize more and more, what a good day looks like, what a bad day looks like. When all of these nodes are expanded and they're bright and they're glowing, it's like, uh-oh, be careful. And when things are smaller and maybe a little bit more dense, it's hey, it's going to be a nice day. Um,
Mhm.
and same thing with this. You can move the timeline and this thing will change throughout the day. So you can even see the colors are changing based on intensity and
Yeah.
this how much it will actually affect you as a person. Maybe not necessarily, the temp when it's really cold, this will be really high too because it's going to affect you as a person.
Mhm.
Um, like that type of stuff. So there's still the opportunity to get your general weather information if you want it, but everybody has their favorite weather apps that we all rely on.
This may be one
Um,
of their favorites. What are you
it
using
could
for
be.
model data in here?
HRRR for now. It
Okay.
would be nice. A lot of folks have said, "Hey, let's get the European model in here." I think that would be great. I'm not as familiar with the available APIs that that can have all that data that I can plug into and bring into this. I just wanted to get one thing out right away, but the European model I think would be great for accuracy and the HRRR. So I've heard lately hasn't been the best. So
Yeah,
it'd
and
be
then
nice.
that might be replaced by the RRFS that's coming up soon. One thing about the European model or like the GFS, those are global models. So your precision, because it's based on a grid, your grids are larger. So I think you have the kind of the right idea hanging out with the HRRR because that's a high res rapid refresh model, and that essentially, I don't know if we were to go back in time and figure out why it was designed, but partially designed to help understand convection. I've always considered HRRR as a little aggressive in terms of the convection when I see just like the reflectivity output of it.
Mhm.
At the same time, though, it's still a great tool in the toolbox to look at, and I certainly have been using that a lot lately with the last couple of rounds of storms we've had in our area here on the East Coast.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been pretty busy this late summer for the East Coast. I've been watching diligently within the app, trying to check out what's going on in your area.
Yeah, it's been busy. So we have a couple minutes left. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, bring up here with your app? How do people can find it? Things like that.
Yeah, I think the URL eventually the app store will be available. But right now, what I'm trying to do is get a number of folks to consider themselves founders to do like a one-time payment for this that you pay once and you're done, and then you get access forever for anything that we put out. But also, it's like a direct line to be able to chat and to try to figure out what is going to be the most useful information in here. So right now, this was an interpretation of what I like to use, what I know that forecasters, chasers, photographers use. But now that we have actual people that are using this app, there's a number of them right now. That hive mind can bring some more information and make this even better and more relevant for individuals, both on the, you know, PhD side all the way to my daughter who's 11, who's using this app and trying to figure it out and is just sitting there with her iPad looking up at the sky and looking at what's going on. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. So
Maybe a
um,
future meteorologist that's budding right now in the household.
she's talking about it. Yeah, she loves it. But yeah, like the information that I'm doing is or that I'm pulling from is free, but servers and that the hosting and all that isn't. So I'm trying to help keep this thing alive for a while as long as we can. But yeah, it's been a blast, and there's a roadmap. If you want to sign up, there's a roadmap on the things that are on deck to be able to add to this to make it even better. So I'm super excited, and I'm so excited and happy that you brought me on here too, Trav. This is
Yeah,
great. Just to chat with a meteorologist and a friend about something that I
yeah.
built that's a shared passion between the two of us. So it's been awesome. I really appreciate it.
All right. So Aello dash live, correct? That's where we want to go.
Halo.live.
Dot live.
Yep.
Sorry, I meant to say dot. Yeah, I said dash.
Yeah.
Dot. The period button right there. All right. Thanks a lot, Chris, for this. This is a great tour, and certainly people can check it out and learn some more. So thanks for watching this episode of Beyond the Forecast. We'll have another episode coming up next time.